Good evening, everyone. This is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation Graphics and Tutorials here on Facebook. If you're joining us on YouTube, please be sure to come join our Facebook group. And if you're catching us live on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Those links are in the video descriptions depending on where you're watching. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a seamless background in Affinity Designer. Now this tutorial is made for beginners and it is something that's pretty useful when it comes to digital graphics. You can very easily sell seamless patterns that you make in digital paper packs, which is always a great option, or you can use them for your own designs. Digital papers are probably one of the most popular things to be purchased from designer shops because they have a variety of uses, including as fill patterns and backgrounds. Making them is easier than you might think, which is why I was excited to do this tutorial for you guys. I have done this in the past, but the new version that we're doing tonight will be on YouTube and of course then therefore easier to find for all of our members. I'm working with Affinity Designer on a Windows laptop. Keep in mind that if you're using the iPad or Mac, then your interface may look a little bit different, but all of the same features are there. We want to start in our designer persona, and we're going to go ahead and click on File, and then New. We're going to create a workspace that is 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. This helps us just keep it easy. And we're going to set it with a white background just because I'm going to be doing like a spring plaid design. So in order to make a plaid, we simply need to make a series of stripes, which are rectangles. So we'll start by just making a rectangle and we'll size it to the size that we are looking for. We'll click on our transform panel and I want to make sure that the height is 1000 pixels because that is the height of our document, or the width if we were doing horizontal stripes. And I'm going to make the width 125 pixels wide. All right, so this is going to be sort of our big stripe. I'll go ahead and give it a color while we're working. There we go. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your snapping guides are turned on. That's this little magnet, and when you hover over it, it does say snapping, because that's going to help us see the lines that appear as I move it. That's going to help us make sure everything is lined up accordingly. So you start your first layer. If it is an item that is all the way vertical or horizontal, filling the space on your design, you're going to make sure that you are halfway across whatever orientation it's going. So if you see the green line right now, that green line represents our y-axis, and the red line represents our red axis. And you can see that we have half of our rectangle on our workspace and half off. I'm going to right click and duplicate, and it's going to duplicate this to sit right on top. We're going to go over to our transform, and we'll go to our x-axis, and we are going to add 250 pixels. As long as you do not deselect, you can continue to just right click and duplicate, and it will automatically repeat the spacing which you originally entered. This helps speed up the process of making digital paper. So just like that, we've created that base layer. We're going to click and drag to select all of our columns, and then we're going to select the Add button to make them one solid curve. I'm then going to right click and duplicate this and change the color. We'll go with maybe a nice green, and then I will rotate that clockwise one direction. We're starting to take shape of our plaid. Now typically, these have an opacity. So we'll go right up here to our opacity and we'll set it to about 75%. So let's go ahead and add in some more lines to give this plaid texture a more dynamic look. So I'm going to go ahead and select another rectangle, draw it out, adjust it over here in my transform panel. This one, because I'm going horizontal, I want 1000 pixels wide, and I will make the height 25 pixels. We want to make sure that our dimensions are some multiple of 4 in terms of our workspace. So if this is a 1000 pixel workspace, then 250 or 25 is a multiple of 4 that feeds into that. And that's just because that's how we make it easy to make sure everything is evenly spaced out across our platform. So I'm going to go ahead and make this, maybe we'll make it like a purple. And we're going to, once again, move this up to our top axis until we get that line that indicates we are halfway through. We will then duplicate, and this is going to duplicate right on top. We're going to go to our y-axis box to move this down our workspace. And then we can add 250, and it moves us right in the center. Now I'm going to undo that because I want to have a few more purple lines in here, and I don't necessarily want them just across our green. So I'm going to go back to my y-axis and hit 125, which is half of that 250. And then I will right-click and duplicate this all the way down. Now, once again, as long as you have not deselected, you can very quickly just right-click and duplicate, and it will repeat the previous spacing all the way down, which definitely makes life a little bit easier and moves things along faster. If at any point you do deselect, all you would do is just click on your most recent one and then re-enter that same spacing that you were already using. So in this case, that is 25 pixels. So we're going to do the same thing that we did on those base layers, and we're going to select all of our purple rectangles, and we're going to use the add tool to make them one curve. I will adjust that opacity to 75%, and then I'm going to right click and duplicate. Maybe we'll make the next one blue, like blue. And I'm going to rotate that clockwise 25%, or sorry, 90 degrees. And now we've got a nice, pretty spring plaid. Now you could absolutely keep on adding lines and texture to give this more of a dynamic look. I recommend you play around with it, but today I just wanted to show you the basics. This is ready to export as it is, or you can go ahead and add details onto this like flowers or bugs or anything that you wanted to create your end digital paper. You want to make sure that when you create a base file like this that you save it, and you can do that by going to File and then selecting Save As. This will open up your File Explorer, and you can choose to save this somewhere on your computer. So that in the future you can just open it up and change your colors for different holidays, occasions, themes, whatever it is that you're working on. Next, I'm going to select my Place tool, and I'm going to add some elements to this. So we'll start with some flowers. And I'll go ahead and start with this little pink anemone. So I want my anemone to be 125 by 125, or I can do it all the way up to 250. So let's see how big 250 looks. Not terrible. Keep in mind that when you create one digital paper like this, it's going to be tiled. So bigger is not necessarily better unless you're trying to have a big design. So I think I'll go back to my original thought of 125, which is a little tiny, but that's okay. And what we want to do is just like we did before, zoom in to make it easier for you guys to see. We're going to move our element all the way up to the corner. Now, because this element is not the total height or width of our workspace, we want to make sure that when we put it up at that corner, we get both of the X and Y axis lines perfectly crossed at the corner. Not over here, not over here, not up here, right at the corner. That's how we know that we are in the correct spot. And now we're going to repeat that duplicating process. So I will just right click and duplicate. It's going to duplicate one right on top. I'll go to my transform section select my x-axis, and then add, we could do 125 or 250. So let's do 250 pixels. There we go. And then we'll right click and duplicate until we have gone all the way across our workspace. Now we want to repeat this row. So we'll just click and drag to select all of those, and we will group them, and we will duplicate one row. It's going to duplicate it right on top. We're going to move this down our y-axis. So we're going to hit plus 250. And then that will move it down the y. And we can go ahead and repeat that until our page is all the way covered. Now you'll notice that all of these flowers that are cut in half, and the bottom and the top, they all line up so that when we lay our pages side by side, everything is going to line up. That's what a seamless pattern is. And the reason why seamless patterns are the best way to go is because giving people the ability to tile means that they are going to be able to use this pattern to an infinite size print without sacrificing the quality of the digital paper. So we see this a lot with something like glitter digital paper, which it's not as easy to make glitter paper seamless. And as a result, when people try and line them up, they don't look that great, so they end up just using one, and then they have to oversize it so much that it doesn't look glittery the way it should. Let's go ahead and add in something else in here. The anemone was nice. But maybe let's add a little bug. See what we got here. All right, here's a little bee. So I'm going to size my bee to be, once again, that 125 pixels. And I'm going to move him back up into that corner, same starting point, except this one, because we don't want this bee in the corner cut off, we want him somewhere over in here or down in here, we are going to just keeps that one selected and move it over. So we'll start with our x-axis, and we will hit plus 125, that's our halfway point, and we can move our bee. And then we will hit duplicate, and from there we will keep on adding the 250. All right, there we go. Now, we can also move our bees. We can rotate the direction of our bees also. So let's click on, we'll alternate every other one. So we'll just go here and hit flip vertical, flip vertical. And now I'm going to select those bees and I'm going to repeat this row. So I'm going to group that, and I'm going to right click and hit duplicate. And then because I'm going down the y-axis, I will do plus. I'm going to alternate them. So I did 500. There we go. And you'll see that this one is facing down, that one is facing down. And now we can actually swap this one, since it's in the middle. We'll hit flip vertical, and that will alternate the way that they are going down. So now let's add something else into here. As you can see, you just kind of keep building on it. So we'll add a few more springtime bugs. We'll see what we got in here. All right, let's go with this little ladybug. Okay, so we are going to make the height of our ladybug 125 because of the size of this little guy. And we're going to go right back up to that corner, make sure that it is fitting accordingly. So we got our guidelines. And we're going to move our ladybug down into here. So we will go to our x-axis first, and we will hit plus 125. And then we will go to our y-axis, and we will hit plus 125. And there's our ladybug. I think our ladybug would look better if she was turned this way. Just to be sure we got exactly 90 degrees, I will update that accordingly. All right, and then we will right click and duplicate, and we will send that across the x-axis. Again, plus 250, and we will duplicate and duplicate. Now, same as before, we could absolutely rotate the direction of these by clicking on our flip horizontal option. And then we can select all of our ladybugs, and it is definitely easier just to group them. And then we will go ahead and duplicate that group. And we're going to send this down our y-axis. 500 pixels. And then that's as far as that one will go. And once again, if we want to have this going in the opposite direction as this one, so that when we tile them, they're kind of alternating, we will hit that flip horizontal. And oh, they didn't all flip. I guess I never noticed that before, that it didn't actually flip all of them, and I'm not sure why. So you notice that these two in the middle did not flip, which is a little odd. So we will just select them individually and flip them horizontally since they weren't cooperating. I don't really have any idea why, because they should have just gone. But anyways, now let's go ahead and add one more element in here, maybe a butterfly. Now again, we're still maintaining that same process that we've been doing. So I'm going to make my butterfly, the width will be the 125. Great. And I'm going to start back up in that top corner, making sure that I got those lines like I want. And then I'm going to send it over into this column because we're aiming to put our butterfly in here, kind of in line with the ladybugs. So we will go ahead and go to our x-axis, hit the plus, hit 125 to move it halfway. And then we're going to go to the y-axis, and I believe this is 750. Nope, I went too far. So it's going to be 250 plus 125, I think. There we go. All right, so we'll go ahead and duplicate our butterfly, and we're going to send it across. So we'll go to our X, and we will hit plus 250. And then again, as long as you have not deselected, you can continue to duplicate all the way across. And then we will click and drag, right-click and group our butterflies. We will right-click and duplicate them. We're going to, where we right-clicked and duplicated, and now we're just going to move that down. So we'll go to our our y-axis, and we will add 500 pixels. So now we've created just a simple, fun spring digital pattern. And now from here, like I said, you can keep on adding lines. You can do so much. But I just want to show you guys how to do this. I'm going to lock my base lines, I guess we'll call them. And the reason why I did that is because I want to select all of my layers of critters. And I'm going to right click and group them all together. And then I'm just going to do some quick enhancements, which you might find necessary. So I'll go ahead and select the adjustments option, and then I will hit vibrance. And I will bring up the vibrance, sorry. And then I'll make sure I got it clicked again and go to brightness and contrast and kind of bring down my brightness just a little bit. Bring up my contrast. There we go. So now our digital paper looks a little bit more, dynamic. And like I said, you can continue to add to this. You can add more lines underneath. You can add more little elements into your digital paper. The sky is really the limit. Creating digital paper is so fun and so easy, and I really do recommend giving it a try. It can open up a world of possibilities for your business, and the more you do it, the more fun you have, and the easier you find that it is. Last but not least, always remember to export your file. So you're going to go to File and then Export. Now, even though we worked in a 1000 by 1000 pixel space, we want to make sure that we are exporting this substantially larger, roughly 4000 pixels. And then you'll go ahead with your PNG option selected, hit Export, and you will save that. Once it's finished exporting, it will be saved to your computer, and just like that, you would be able to upload this and sell it or continue to create more that mix and match and go together. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys tonight, and I thank you so much for watching us. Please be sure to leave any questions or comments you have down below.